Yan. Okay, tanggay sa na-screen ko para lahat pagkasya ko. Yan. And then, also, okay. Okay, so we're almost through with the discussion about organic compounds. Um, Let me just some updates. Wait lang. Yan. Any question with regards to naming and writing equation of organic compounds? Wala naman po. Clarifications? None? Okay, sige, let's continue. Okay, so let's just go back. I just have some additional information in terms of organic compounds. Okay, so we have, wait lang. Yan, okay, so last time we already discussed what alkyl groups are, right? Now we also have, but always remember when it comes to alkyl, it's an alkane minus one hydrogen. We also have what we call, okay, so here's another example of alkyls. Now, classification of carbon atoms in a compound. So, usually, based on the number of carbons, we have what we call, by the way, central atoms. So, ito yung pinakagitna or yung mismong atoms na tinitingnan natin. Now, depending on how many carbons are attached to it, you can actually describe the degree of its affinity. So, for example, primary carbons are carbons, the central atoms have, let me just annotate. Ayan. Okay, so for this one, ito yung central atom and here is another carbon atom. So ito yung ating tinitingnan na carbon. Okay? Now, since meron siyang isang carbon na nakakabit sa kanya, it is considered now as a primary carbon. Okay? And if in case you have a hydrogen here, this hydrogen will be considered as a primary hydrogen because it is attached to a primary carbon. So, yun ang tatandaan nyo dyan. The next one is a secondary carbon. So secondary carbons have two carbons, okay, that is attached to your central atom, okay, and hydrogens that are attached to secondary carbons are also called secondary hydrogens. Not secondary carbons but hydrogens, kasi hydrogen sila. Then you have also tertiary carbons where having three carbons that are existing at the same time or there are three carbons that are connected to the central atom. Okay, and then you have also the quaternary carbons. There are four carbons that are attached to the central carbon. So, for example, you have instead of it, not only just this is just not limited to carbon but also to other elements. For example, see instead of having carbons, let's have it as chlorine. Okay, so gawin natin chlorine to. So, kung tatlo yung chlorine mo, so pwede natin to na uh, tetra, methyl, methane. Okay? And then here, let's say this is hydroxide. Okay. This is third, let's say third uh, pentanol. Yan. Okay. And then, minsan may makikita kayo kaya na nakasulat is sec butyl alcohol kung hydroxide yung isa. Okay? So, yan. So, this usually just some additional information with regards to the degree of affinity for those carbons based on each attachment. Then we also have what we call, diba, remember we discussed about the benzene, which is a homologous. When you say homologous, pare-pareho lang na carbon-hydrogen siya. Now, di rin po kasi na yung isa sa mga dito ay hindi na po maging hydrogen. Sorry, not hydrogen but carbon. We have what we call the heterocyclic. Okay? When we say heterocyclic, so it is pure, not pure carbon. Hindi na puro carbon lang. Then it is cyclic, it means it's a uh, circle. Okay? So the ends meet. Nag-meet yung dalawang end. So an example of that one is you have pyridine, pyrimidine, purine, furan, and imidazole. Now, can you take note of those elements or these compounds that I mentioned here? These are actually some of the molecules. You will see this again when we go to the DNA. So ito, purine and pyrimidine, ginagamit to um, sa DNA, particularly the bases. Okay, furan, you will see this in um, carbohydrates. Kulang pa yan eh. You have also pyran. Yan. So that is for pyran. Okay, yan. So one of those carbons inside the chain is no longer included, but instead we have different elements. Okay, so yan. So those are heterocyclic aromatic carbons. I'll update this in our TBL hub later on. Okay, so in terms of naming, wala naman nata tayo naging problema sa naming. Now, in the other important things to add on to car alcohols is that we also have, remember we have the names, the formula, ang, ang root name for the IUPAC. So this is IUPAC naming ha. IUPAC name yan. Alcanol. So that's how you remember it. Now, applications of alcohols, we have what we call the methyl alcohol or methanol, which is coming from heating cheap woods. Okay, and that's why it's called as the alcohol. Then it's also known as an organic solvent and industrial solvent, and it's more toxic than ethanol. Okay, then if in case ingested, it can lead to blindness or death pag ina-inhale siya or ingested. So, very dangerous siya. Now, ito yung best friend ng mga iba dyan, lalo na ngayon. 'Di ba? Balik na naman tayo sa alert level 4 daw tayo, open na lahat na naman o majority. And then bukas na naman. Meron pa bang alcohol ban sa inyo diyan? Dito sa amin may alcohol ban eh. Ang alcohol ko lang naman guys wine lang. Social ako. Social sa pag-inom. Wine lang, wine lang. Kayo diyan. So yung mga iba diyan sa inyo, ano ang paborito niyong spirits? By the way, the reason why it is called spirits is because it releases, according to old literature, yung mismong material daw po is having, di ba alam niyo yung alcohol, it tends to evaporate most of the time. Di ba pag naglagay ka ng alcohol sa balat mo, nawawala siya. That's why it's called the spirits, nawawala ka agad. Okay, so let's go back. So when you say ethyl alcohol, this is the one that is made from fermented fruit juices. So, yun nga lang, since hindi tayo nasa quarantine tayo, sana papa-request ko kayo kung nagsa face-to-face tayo, gagawa tayo ng iba't ibang klaseng alcohol. And I think I mentioned that before. Now, it's also known as grain alcohol kasi ginagamit natin mga grains. These are example of grains, yung corn, wheat, rye, barley. Tapos meron pa yung malt and hops. Okay, so ito yung raw material ng beer. Yan. A mixture of malt and hops na fine-ferment. Okay? So yan. And then it is also used in motor oil, and it has because of the high octane rating. Yun nga lang, one of the byproducts of utilization of ethanol is water. It tends to mix with the engine that can cause damages to the parts. Okay? So that is for ethanol. Then you have isopropyl alcohol, okay, from 2-propanol. Now, isopropyl alcohol is actually produced via the hydration of propylene. So, actually, dapat may double bond dito. Okay? And it is commonly used as an industrial solvent and also as a disinfectant. Okay? It is more toxic than ethanol, but it has a less drying effect on the skin. Actually, guys, totoo yun. Pag nag-alcohol kayo, lagi nakakatuyo ng balat yun. Kaya mapapansin nyo, medyo dry yung skin niyo. So, gamitan nyo lang na konting langis para bumalik yung natural moisture niyan. Then you also have what we call glycerol, or also known as glycerin. Now, glycerol has a IUPAC name of propane 123 triol. Okay, so yan yung kanyang scientific name. And it's actually raw material for soap production sa paggawa ng sabon through the process of saponification. Later on, we're going to be discussing that as well when we go to lipids. Now, glycerol is actually used in making dynamite. Okay? Wait lang. Unmute lang natin. Hala, nawala. Wait guys, hindi ko makapabalik si Tabora. Nakapasok na ba si Tabora? Miss, guys, hindi pa.
Ano po yun, ma'am?
Nakasama na ba si Tabora?
Wala po ata, ma'am.
Ano yung first name niya? Para ano ko?
EJ po.
Ah, guys, para hindi kayo laging ganito. Can you ask your classmates to please use your UMAC email? Kasi po, pag hindi UMAC email, hindi po agad-agad siya nakakapasok. Kaya nagkakaroon ng problema pagdating sa accessing or logging in. Okay? Unless I try niya ulit, can somebody please advise Tabora to try again? Huhuliin ko na lang dito sa end ko. Okay? Kasi dalawa yung skill ko, hindi ko nakuha eh. Anyway, so yan. So going back to this one, actually, tinuturo ko na sa inyo kung paano gumawa ng dynamite. It's actually just nitroglycerin. So you have nitric acid plus glycerin. Actually, yung glycerin nabibili ito sa Suking Mercury at saka Watsons. Okay, a common name niya is glycerol. Um, Yun nga lang, yung nitric acid, hindi kayo basta-basta makabili niyan. Kung makakabili kayo, kung bibili kayo niyan, guys, isang damakmak na papeles ang bibili niyo. We try to do that, uh, buy it from Bambang kasi doon majority ng mga chemical suppliers, lahat hiningi sa amin para ma-prove lang na sa eskwelahan gagamitin yon. Okay? Now, although we have the dynamite, nitroglycerin is actually used as an alternative for vasodilator. We say vasodilator. This is for blood vessels. Pag hina-highlight kasi kayo, usually nagtithin out yung blood vessels, numinipis, not exactly numinipis, parang lumiliit yung daluyan. At pag dumilit yung daluyan, diyan nagkakaroon ng constriction ng mga blood vessels, it can cause hypertension. So, pinaiinom po ng nitroglycerin, meron siyang tablet form na nilalagay sa ilalim ng dila sa mga may high blood. Ah, okay, no problem, no problem. So, yon. So, nilalagay sa ilalim ng dila para mabilis yung pag-release or pag-relax ng mga blood vessels para hindi ma-high blood. Okay? Yun nga lang, dahil dyan, pinalitan na din nila to. Okay, hindi na nila masyadong ginagamit itong nitroglycerin as a form of vasodilator. Marami na pong mga gamot na nakita na alternative. Okay, pero mabilis po ang resulta ng nitroglyceride sa ilalim ng dila. Okay? Talagang asin ano yan. Talagang asin luluwag lahat ng mga blood vessels mo dyan. Okay? So that's for alcohols. We also have, okay, yan. Now let's talk about the other things about the different organic compounds. So sa carboxylic acid, so we have the simplest, which is formic acid, which is used for textile treatment and acid reducing agent. Then you have acetic acid. Ito yung acetic acid, sama to ng bawang. This is our suka. Okay? Yan po yon. So yung tawag nito, yung chicharon ninyo o kaya yung pinirito ninyo or inihaw ninyo, lagyan niyo ng, alam mo yun, ang sawsawan ninyo is acetic acid with bawang. Yan. Tapos o kaya acetic acid with toyo, bawang, paminta. Adobo na ang katapat niyan. Okay. Then we also have what we call the aspirin. So aspirin is actually an ester of salicylic acid, dun ginagawa yon. And aspirin is usually, ito po, majority natin, ito yung dating iniinom natin pag merong konting, kahit konting sakit sa katawan. Okay? So yan po. Another name po niyan is biogesic. It's an aspirin. Okay? Then you have also palmitic acid, stearic acid, sama na rin natin si oleic acid na hiwalay sa ibaba. These are also used for soap making. Yan. And they are then palmitic oil, actually these are carboxylic acids. Pag mahaba na siya, these are already your fatty acids. Okay, so yan ang magiging fatty acid natin. So mas mahaba na siya. And the longer the fatty acid, nagiging less soluble na siya sa water. Okay, so yan ang tatandaan pagdating sa mga fatty acids. By the way, guys, I think you've heard also, nababasa nyo, naririnig nyo, na yung mga, this is actually palmitic acid. Nakikita yan sa, sa grocery, di ba? Palmitic oil, stearic acid, oleic acid. Yan po yung nasa oil. Now, yung oil has this kind of oils. These are actually unsaturated fatty acids, which is good for the heart. Kaya lang, pag ginamit nyo na siya for cooking, in terms of prito-prito, lalo na yung deep fry, wag po. Hindi po siya advisable for deep frying. Itong mga to would work as a way, better siya pag nakasalad siya. Okay? Yung pagiging unsaturated siya would be good for the body kung isasama natin siya sa salad, not as a frying. Ang frying pa rin, the best na frying agent pa rin po is yung ordinary vegetable oil. Kasi yung vegetable oil po, hindi po siya nasisira. Samantalang to, based on my recent readings, pag yung mga yan, pag ginamit nyo sa pagpiprito, madali po siyang, alam mo, hindi siya maganda, lalo siya nakakasama sa katawan. Okay? So, yan. So, another form of carboxylic acid, you have stearic acid for rubber production, acrylic for formation of acrylate. So, ito yung ginagamit para makagawa ng mga acrylic plastics natin. Okay? So, yan po yan. Acrylic acid para magawa yung acrylic plastics. Okay? Now, for the aldehydes, additional information natin sa aldehydes, you have formaldehyde, which is added with water to form your formalin. So, ito yung ating embalming agent. So, 37%. Pag bumaba po sa 37%, madali pong mabulok yung katawan. So, usually, sa mga nag-iimbalsamo, nung nakakita kami doon sa med school noon, sa PLM, ah, matapang po yung formaldehyde na ginagamit, nasa 40%. Yan. Tapos, syempre since katawan yung, as in cadaver, okay? So, yung cadaver, inaangat nila from isang malaking parang, call this, bathtub na punong-puno ng formaldehyde, sa lagyan nila ng takip. Okay? Now, formaldehyde is also used in tanning, preserving, embalming, fungicide, germicide for plants and vegetables. Okay. Now, formaldehyde is also used in the production of bakelite. Ito po yung kauna-unahang plastic natin, which pave way to the production of Tupperware, production of Orocan, yan. So, lahat ng mga plastic, dyan po nagsimula kay bakelite. Kung wala si bakelite, wala tayong plastic ngayon. Okay? So, yan. Then also, let me just go to the next page. Yan. Now, aldehydes also has another function in terms of flavoring. So you have benzaldehyde for almond flavor, cinnamide, you have cinnamon, then vanillin for vanilla beans. So dati noon, pag gusto niyo magkaroon ng flavor, you have to get the actual material tapos ihahalo mo. But with the idea of studying about organic compounds, we are actually able to produce synthetic flavors. Kaya nga minsan, di ba, isang patak lang siya pero ano siya, powder siya, pero ando dun yung lasa. Okay, because of those chemicals that we create. Okay. And then for ketones, yan. So I think this discussed this also last time. We already discussed then that the common name of propanone, which is the simplest of the ketone family, is acetone, and Cutex is actually a brand. Brand yan ng nail polish remover. Now, this is also used for varnish. It's also used for resins, coatings, yan. So marami pong gamit po. Pwede rin siyang solvent ang acetone. Okay. Then ethers, on the other hand, is actually made up from the combination of two alcohol. So yung hydrogen ng isang alcohol and yung hydroxide ng kabilang alcohol will be removed to form water, and it becomes now your ether. Now, the general formula in naming ether, so as you can see here, ang pangalan niya sa common name kasi, kung anong pangalan ng alkyl, tapos yung pangalan ng isang alkyl, then lagyan nyo lang ng ether. So, yan. So, the name here will be diethyl ether kasi dalawang ethyl. Pero, if you're going to name this using IUPAC, you use the formula alkoxy alkane. So, if that would be the case, ano ngayon yung name nung mismong compound nating ethyl-ethyl ether or diethyl ether? Anyone? Ano yung yung IUPAC name niya? Given that the IUPAC name or yung formula ng IUPAC name is alkoxy alkane. Anyone who could give me the IUPAC name of diethyl ether? Anyone? Try try lang guys. Wala namang masama. Try lang ng try. Anyone who could try? So, you have ethyl. Tapos yung isa ethyl. So, isa ipasok nyo lang yon, i-substitute nyo lang. So, the name would be, naku, walang sumasagot na naman sa fourth year ko. This is going to be The name of diethyl ethyl ether in IUPAC is ethoxy alkane. So, yan po yung pangalan niya. Okay? So, it's ethoxy alkane. Then, on the other one, yan. Methyl dimethyl ether naman siya. So, this will be, ano pangalan niya guys? Thank you, Camille. How about this one? Anyone who'd like to try? Anyone? What would be the name? Daniel. Mata buena. Charlene, Mogol.
Ma'am, try lang po.
Go. Try.
Me Metoxic methane po.
Metoxic. Baka metoxy lang.
Metoxy. Metoxy po,
Metoxy.
SY.
XY. Okay. Metoxy. Okay. So, methane. So, yan po yung pangalan niya. Kaya, guys, mag-try lang kayo. Wala namang masama eh. Okay? So, that is for this kind of compound. Okay? So, here, you have methyl ethyl ether. So, what would be the IUPAC name for this one? Anyone else who'd like to try? So, kanina, di ba, yung formula is alkoxy alkane. Yung alkoxy, usually yung smaller. And then alkane, yung parent. So, given here, di ba, ang pinakamahaba mo is ito. Di ba? Tapos ito yung pangalan niya. So, what would be yung smaller? So, what would be the name of this one now? Let's have Michael Palileo. Michael, are you still with us?
Anong po ulit tanong? Sorry po, Miss Claire po ako eh.
Ano ang pangalan ng IUPAC name ng methyl ethyl ether? Okay, so ang formula ng IUPAC is alkoxy-alkane. Yung alkoxy, yun yung smaller chain. Yung alkane, yun yung parent or yung longer chain. So here, you have the compound methyl ethyl ether. So ano ngayon yung IUPAC niya? Michael? Michael, are you still there?
Ay, wait lang po. Ma'am.
Hmm. Anyone? Yes, Miss Ang. So methoxyethane, very good. Very good, Mr. Ambay. So that is the name. Methoxy. So it's methoxyethane. So here another one. This is ethyl propyl ether. So what would be the IUPAC name of this one? So same din yung gagawin. Kung ano yung style ng kanina. Gumabo. Angelo may gumabo. Angelo, are you still there? Miss Matrillo, Claudine. Yes, Lester, Esther. Okay, ethoxypropane. Very good. Oh, by the way, Esther, kamusta yung ano mo, requirements mo?
Ma'am, hindi pa rin po ako nase-sendan nung ano, COR. Pero nag-email po ako parang every other 2 days nga po.
Okay.
Tapos
Actually,
wala pa rin MSCQ pa rin.
in
Opo.
inano ko, finorward ko sa college secretary namin, siya rin ang TBL hub coordinator namin na yung mga kasama ka dun sa mga list na wala pa sa official class list. Pero ano, wala ring update kung ano na bang nangyayari. Pero chinek ko, yun yung latest na binigay sa amin na classes, wala ka talaga sa listahan pa eh. Pero yun, binote
Thank you,
it,
ma'am.
ano. Okay, sige.
Thank you, ma'am. Hindi naman ako nag-iisa, ma'am.
Oo nga eh. Anyways, pero yun lang ano. Okay, so yan. So that is for ether. Now, take note that ether is usually used as anesthesia. Okay, so dati ginagamit yung diethylene ether as the first anesthesia sa surgery ng 1842. So, what they did, they have a liquid, tapos lalagyan ng tela sa ibabaw ng bibig, tapos i-drop yung ether dun sa ibabaw ng tela. So, makakatulog na yung tao during the time. Kaya lang, pinilitan nila yon because of medical issues. They use now codeine as a pain reliever also. Then, it is usually highly flammable. Pinilitan nila na ng nitrous oxide and halothane as an alternative for anesthesia. Codeine yung naririnig nyo to most of the time sa ano, sa ngipin. Yan yung nilalagay ng doktor lalo na pag bubunutan kayo. So i-injection na ng codeine o kaya lalagyan ng codeine, sorry, yung ibabaw ng ngipin bago siya injectionan kasi medyo masakit yung ano eh, tama ng syringe dun sa ano gums natin eh. Kaya yan, lalagyan mo na ng codeine sa na topical, tapos saka kayo sasaksakan ng codeine. Okay? So here are the general formula of ester. So it's actually coming from the combination of organic acid and alcohol. Okay? So ito po yon. So ito po yung galing sa organic acid. Ito po yung galing sa alcohol. Okay? Now, esters are used as synthetic aromas and flavorings. Okay? Um, Back in college, we had one experiment na 4 hours namin pinakuluan. Okay? Pero prior namin siyang pakuluan, alam mo yon, sobrang baho nung amoy na yon na kumakapit siya sa balat. Yan ang problema ng mga organic compounds eh. Lalo na yung mga maamoy na organic compounds. They tend to stick on the skin sa damit kasi nga organic compound din tayo eh. Organic din yung ano, dumidikit talaga sila sa balat. Okay, so imagine niyo na lang na kayo nag-experiment, ang amoy pa naman niya is parang pupo ng pusa. Alam mo yon, yung bagong put ng pusa. So ang tapang ng amoy na yon. Tapos yun yung amoy ninyo kasi yun yung ginahawakan yung lahat. Tubig, liquid siya guys. Pero yung amoy sobrang intense na pag lumabas ka para akala mo may natapakan kang ano, poop So, habang naglalakad kami nung pagkatapos ng experiment nun parang, "Uy, ang baho." Alam mo yun, yung reaction, "Ang baho, ang baho." Gaganon-ganon yung mga tao na nakakasalubong namin. It was so funny na nakakahiya din at the same time. Pero pagkatapos nun, we were actually able to make a very nice smelling na strawberry. Ay, strawberry ba? Pineapple. Pineapple na aroma or fragrant. Okay? So, imagine mo, from a napakabaho na esters to becoming a pineapple aroma smell. Yan yung ginagamit dun sa mga air freshener natin, esters. Okay? So here is how do we name the esters. So yung IUPAC naming dito is hanapin mo muna yung chain after the CO. So yung chain ng CO is ito. After the CO, ito. Yan. So, based on the number of this one, you have two carbons and then ang dulo niya ay gagamitan natin ng YL. So, since this is two carbons, tapos YL yung dulo, so this is ethyl. Okay? And then the second one is yung kabilang side na may from double bond oxygen. Ito po, bibilangin mo yun yan at ang dulo niya ay O8 o weight rather. Okay? So since 1, 2, 3 carbons, so it's gonna be named as propane since 3 carbons and OH siya, so this will become propanoate. And if you combine yung kanina at saka yung ngayon, di ba this is ethyl and this is propanoate, so the compound name is ethyl propanoate. So if you're going to derive the um, the name in IUPAC, yung code ng name nila, it's gonna be alkyl alkanoate. Okay? So yan. So that's how you name esters. So here naman, pentanoate. Ethyl pentanoate. So you have here yung O8 ninyo. Then draw the ethyl. That's the next part. Sorry. Draw first the pentanoate. So limang carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then since single bonded dyan because of the A here. So lahat yan single bond. Then lahat ng hydrogen bonds ilagay. Or hydrogen. And then the ethyl. Draw the ethyl now. Okay. So yan. So this is the formula of ethyl pentanoate, which is the smell ng green apple. Okay? So yan. Now, another functional group is amines. Now, amines is derived from ammonia. So, tinanggalan mo lang ng NH, uh, ng isang hydrogen. So, you can have now NH2. So, you have here carbon, isang carbon, then amine group. So, the name will be methanamine. Okay, so if you're going to do the IUPAC name niya, alkanamine. Okay, so this is the uh, part of the parent chain or yung R group nyo. Okay, so formula nito is RNH2. Okay, so yan. So pag ethanamine naman, two carbons. Yan. So place all the necessary hydrogen. So two carbons and NH2. Okay. Then amides is actually similar with the amine. The only difference is that it has a carbonyl. So this is carbonyl. Okay? So yung carbonyl niya laging katabi ng amine. So the name will end with AMIDE or amide. And here you have three carbons. 1, 2, 3. And then you have the carbonyl and the amide. So this is propanamide. Okay? So, IUPAC formula name niya is alkanamide. Okay? So, alkanamide. So, here's the formula. Yan. So, here is 4 carbons making it butanamide. Okay? Now, amides are usually used in production of polymers, particularly nylon, kung synthetic, and Kevlar. Kevlar is a very Alam ko expensive ang Kevlar eh. It's an expensive raw material. Okay? It's actually best friend yan ni if you watch yung ano yung kay yung not yung bago ni ano ni my gosh. It's actually a material that is used for bulletproof vest. Yan, Kevlar. Ano- Yan. So that is the um tawag to? That's for amides. Wait lang ah. Okay, any question with the different functional groups? Questions, clarification?
Wala po, ma'am.
Okay, so again, let's continue. So we have also so next we're going to be talking about the different reactions. Now, the different reactions are actually based on the materials that are present inside the parent chain, okay? So the first one we're going to be talking about is the substitution reaction. So in substitution reaction, we only replace one atom inside the group by another atom or another element or another group, okay? So, it can be halogenation. Kaya siya naging halogenation because the one that we're adding into the group is a halogen. And if in case we're gonna be adding hydrogen or water, it's called hydration. Yan. But for this one, we're just gonna be talking about substitution because we're gonna be talking about for alkanes lang. Okay? Wala tayong tatanggalin na double and triple bond. Only replacing one of those hydrogens on the side of the alkane. Okay? Inside the alkane. So here, in substitution, you have here your butane. Okay? Plus bromine. And it will be giving you bromobutane and hydrogen bromide. So remember, bromine is diatomic. So you have bromine, bromine. One of the bromine will be attaching itself with the hydrogen, and then, yeah, to the hydrogen, and the other one will be going to the carbon. Okay, so pag nag-bond na siya sa carbon na nun, matatanggal na si hydrogen. Sila ngayon si HBr. Okay, so yan. So that is for substitution. Okay? Then, if in case ayaw naman mag-form, pwede pa rin pumasok si bromine. This time, dito naman siya dun sa second carbon. Okay? Pwede pa siya dyan mag-bond. Now, here, let you have propane and fluorine. Same concept still applies. So, you'll be having one hydrogen from propane that will be liberated, and fluorine will be added to that one. Kaya ang product nyo is HF and a fluoropropane. Okay? Now, the other one is addition reaction. Now, addition reaction, usually you add some a compound or an element that will break down the double bond or triple bond. So, hindi siya pwede sa single bond kasi po iba na pong reaction yon. Okay? Ito, you're just gonna be removing the double or triple bond. Now, here's an example, yung addition reaction. So, example natin is ethene. May double bond si ethene. Okay? So, yan. You can see the double bond here. Now, with fluorine gas, also with the same still halogen, but this time the halogen will be working on the bonds on the carbon. Okay, so mag-work sila ngayon doon sa carbon and it will cause it to break, forming now fluorine inside ethane. Okay, so the name will become 1,2-difluoroethane. Okay, so that's how it's gonna be happening there. So here you'll be having, if it's gonna be an alkene plus halogen, it will produce alkyl halide. Hindi po magkakaroon ng iba pang products. Lahat sila papasok doon. Okay? Wala pong water, wala pong hydrogen halide na mapoproduce. It's just everything will be added there. Then another one is fermentation. So when you say fermentation, usually you're undergoing enzymatic reaction with a catalyst to break down the compound. So here you have glucose C6H12O6 plus an enzyme cyanase. It will be broken down to ethanol and carbon dioxide. Okay? And this is the formula for production of beer. Yan. So yung mga manginginom dyan. Okay? Sa ganyan po. Then another reaction type for organic compounds is esterification. Now under esterification, you have organic acid plus alcohol that will give you ester and water. So COOH plus OH will become C double bond OO. Actually, yan it's C double bond. Oh gosh. Yan. So ito yung bond niya. Okay? And water. So it is actually the reverse reaction of saponification. Okay? So it's a neutralization reaction because your organic acid, because of the term acid, is an acid, and alcohol is acting is a base. Remember, anything that liberates hydroxide becomes a base. Anything that liberates hydrogen becomes an acid. So when you add this both together, the ester is actually a salt. Okay? Then saponification is breaking down of ester to produce organic acid and alcohol. So this is the reverse nung kanina. Okay? So saponification is the reverse reaction of esterification. Okay? Now here is the most common example of saponification with a hot alkali. So you have esterol glycol plus sodium hydroxide will give you soap and glycerol. Yung soap na sinasabi dito most of the time, guys, ito yung katulad ng sabon na perla. If you haven't seen a sabon na perla, ito po yung mga panlaban ng unang panahon. Okay? Yung iba pa nga dyan, pinanliligo daw talaga yung perla, lalo sa probinsya. Okay, so ito po yung general formula. This is your alcohol. Remember, sorry, not your alcohol, but your ester. Yan. Okay, kasi nga po meron kayo na nito. That's why it's an alcohol. Okay, and it's broken down into an alcohol. This is your propantriol. Okay, and then you have sodium palmitate as the soap. Okay, yan. Now, polymerization are actually made of monomers. So, your example of monomers, we have starch, proteins that builds up amino acids, and cellulose from sugars. Okay, so here are some diagrams showing the cellulose and starch. We will discuss this when we go to carbohydrates next week. Okay, and then for man-made polymers, and so we have nylon, rayon, polyester. As example, polyethylene. Ito yung ginagamit natin na pang-hose. Yan. Yan din yung ginagamit natin sa baso. And then, of course, silicone. Okay? Now, when we combine those monomers together, we form polymers. So, polymerization is the formation of polymers. Okay? So, there are actually two methods of polymerization. The first one is condensation polymerization. So, usually what happens here is you undergo dehydration synthesis. Okay? So, you have two functional groups that will be working on it. So, yan. So, you have there uh, diol. So, these are actually diol class. Diol. Kasi nga dalawa yung hydroxide. Okay? and another diol. So sila yung mag-i-interact, form water to form now your uh, polymer. Okay? So this is an parang ether siya. Oxygen bridge. Okay? Then the other one is addition polymerization. We see addition polymerization, add lang kayo ng add, dagdag lang ng dagdag. So you have ethylene plus ethylene plus ethylene plus ethylene will give you your polyethylene. Ethylene. Okay? So if in case, baka isipin nyo, paano yung PVC? Di ba? Narinig nyo yung polyvinyl chloride. So yan din yon. Vinyl plus vinyl plus vinyl plus vinyl. You'll be getting polyvinyl chloride. Okay? So, yan. So, I'm just gonna skip on this one. Tatanggalin ko na yun sa future slides ko at lecture. Let me just go to an example problem that I have here. Yan, ito. Okay, so this one, so I want you to answer. Ayun, naalala ko na. Yung palabas na merong Kevlar, narinig ko yung Kevlar na palabas, yung John Wick. Okay, si John Wick. Meron siyang ni-request doon, gagawan daw siya ng bulletproof na ano, na Amerikana. Okay? So, yun ang pinagawa niya. Tapos, ang ginamitan siya ng iba't ibang layers ng Kevlar. Yan. Bulletproof vest. Kaya dati kasi guys, pag sinabi mo kasing bulletproof vest, makapal, kasi may tingga talaga siya, may maninipis na layers ng tingga. Ngayon, ah, nilagyan na lang ng, ito yung Kevlar eh. Nilagyan na lang na mas maninipis, yan. Manipis na to guys, tong bulletproof vest na ganito. Dati talaga as in makapal na makapal. Yung mga ginagamit na mga NBI, FBI, ito yung original na bulletproof vest without the Kevlar. Okay? Yung ito na yung mga bago. Yung maninipis na. Okay, so yung kay John Wick, yung John Wick, yan. Yun nasa suot niya mismo. Nilagyan siya ng damit na merong materials na Kevlar. Okay, so that's with the movies and let's go back. Okay, so this time, let's talk about the first compound. Okay, so si number 1. So ito po ay isang example ng skeleton formula wherein each side or each end contains a carbon. So ito hindi siya carbon, it ends with a bromine. So ito po yung start ng carbon mo. So yan, so carbon 1. Oops, sorry. So ito si number 1. Ito si number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pwede ka dito sa taas, 7 or 8, pwede rin dito sa baba. Kasi pareho lang naman eh, di ba? So, what would be the name of compound number 1? Okay, magtawag tayo. Mr. Masula. Mr. Masula, are you with us? Yes. Okay, so what's the name of the compound, Mr. Masula? What's the name of the compound? Anyone who could help Mr. Masula? Wala, Mr. Masula, ayaw kang tulungan. Sige, ano sagot? Alang sumasagot. Ano ba yan? 4 years? Nawawala, nadi-disconnect na kayo. Ano ba yan? Okay. Anyone? Jean, Kapunong. Jean, 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 Jean. Are you with us? Spiritually, mentally, physically? Siyempre, physically hindi. Jean, are you with us? Jean, Jean, Jean. Lah, hindi rin sumasagot. Miss Santos, Joshelle. Hala, wala rin talaga sumasagot. Di ba po masyado guess? Eh, kailan kayo satanong sa akin na hindi nyo nag-get kung kailan tapos na ang semestre? Okay, so if you're going to count this is carbon number 1. So number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8. So ganun din. So dito, sige, since we're going to use this one, this now becomes a side chain. So, ang side chain na may dalawang carbon is called ethyl. And then, you have bromine. Remember, alphabetical order. So, lagay mo si bromo sa harap. Okay? Now, si bromo nakakabit kay carbon number 2. Di ba ito si number 1? So, dito tayo mag-start. So, this will become 2 bromo, 6 ethyl, octane. Okay? So, yan yung pangalan niya. 2 bromo, 6 ethyl, octane. Now, bakit hindi tayo dito nag-start? Kasi kung dito tayo nag-start, this will become 3 ethyl, 7 bromo. 'Di ba? Eh, iba ang tanong natin lagi, ano mas maganda? 2, 6 na numbers or 3, 7? 'Di ba? So, anong pipiliin ninyo? 2, 6 o 3, 7? Anyone? 2, 6 o 3, 7 ang pipiliin natin? EJ.
2-6, ma'am.
Yes, 2-6. Kaya ang pangalan niya ngayon ay, kaya nag-start tayo dito. Kasi 2-6 siya para mas lowest set of numbers. Okay, thank you. Very good. Okay, the second one, since wala tayong dulo-dulo dito, this is now a cyclic. So, lalagyan nyo ngayon siya na prefix na cyclo. Okay, cyclo. Then, this will become carbon number 1. Okay, ito. So, if that is carbon number 1, so bilang lang tayo around the corner bago kayo umabot dito. So, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So, kung 5, pent. Tapos, wala tayong double bond. So, pentane. And then, meron tayong nakakabit na chloro. Nakakabit siya sa number 1. Pwede natin lagay na lang chloro. Cyclopentane. Now, pwedeng may 1, pwedeng walang 1. Okay? Kasi pag walang 1, understood yun na si chloro nakakabit sa carbon number 1. Kaya pwede siyang 1-chlorocyclopentane or chlorocyclopentane. Pareho lang din. Okay? So, for number 3, anybody who could guess the name of this compound, number 3? So, tulungan ko na kayo magbilang ha. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, 4 carbons. May double bond, single bond, triple bond. So, lahat sila ay single. Okay, so ganyan ang symbol natin sa single. And then, meron kang chlorine, meron kang methyl. So, pag in-arrange mo yan, pwede na tayo mag-start ng alphabetical arrangement. So, unahin natin si chloro. Then, you have methyl. And then, 1, 2, 3, 4, butane. Okay, now, since alphabetical na rin tayo, then methyl. So, magsimula na tayo dito. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, this will become 2-chloro, 3-methyl butane. Okay, so that's how you name that one. And then for number 4, bilang tayo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, hex. 'Di ba? Hex ang 6. May single bond, may double bond, triple bond, meron double bond. So, lagay natin double bond, 6 carbon. So, this will become hexene. Okay? Now, this is base. Kung kahit saan tayo magsimula, it's gonna be the same thing. 1, 2, 3. So, 3. Kung dito tayo magsimula, 1, 2, 3. 3 din. Okay? So, lagay na natin isa lang. It's gonna be, ba yan? 6 tuloy nalagay ko. Siya nga. So, it's just gonna be 3-hexene. So, that's the name of the compound. Okay? Last example, ito. Hala, ano to? Para siyang eroplano o kaya spaceship. Hindi po, it's an organic compound. Okay, for this one, yung ganito po, meron siyang isang carbon dito at isang carbon dyan. Isang carbon dyan. Okay? So, kaya po siya ganyan kasi po yung triple bond, it causes a 180 degrees. So, diretso po siya. So, pag binilang natin ngayon siya, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, you have 8 carbons. Then, dalawang triple bonds. Tapos, may isang methyl. Okay? Okay, so given this, actually dapat wala na to eh. Okay, dapat wala na to kasi the moment na nakita mo to, understood yun na isa siyang methyl, di ba? Supposed to be the dulo, di ba? So we can actually say that this is one hindi advisable na meron siya dapat dyan unless na ginawa mo siyang sidechain. Pero kung ginawa mo siyang sidechain, dapat parent chain na rin siya, di ba? So this will become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 pa rin siya. 8 carbon. So its prefix niya is octa. Then may triple bond ka. So lagyan mo dito ng diene. Okay? So, diene. Diene kasi dalawang triple bond. Okay? So, it is in a carbon number 3 and carbon number 7. Okay? Octa 3,7-diene. Tapos, may isang methyl ka. Nasa 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, 5-methyl octa-diene. Okay? Octa 3,7 diene. Okay? So, yan. And then here, you have butanol. So, this is 4 carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then hydroxide. Okay? So, this is actually a secondary alcohol. Bakit secondary? Kasi yung carbon na to, may isang at dalawang carbon na nakakabit sa kanya. Okay? Any questions so far, guys? Connect questions? Wala? Okay. So if you don't have question, let me just go over some of the details for this week's experiment. So I included another experiment. This is about the functional groups. Medyo mahaba-haba yung kanyang activity. Okay, wait lang pa. Nag-load pa si TBL Hub, naghahang eh. Anak ng kagaw naman, ang ingay naman yan. Okay, so here I added the experiment here. This is here for organic compounds. This is actually more on the functional groups. Okay, so ganun pa rin. So the first one, the entry will be more on a page showing all the procedures. So you have the objectives, the different procedures, and then at the bottom you'll be able to see the videos of the simulation. This is what the simulation would look like. Then the different actual experiments for those functional groups. So test for unsaturation, you have for alcohols, aldehydes, carbohydrates, carboxylic acids rather, ketones, amines. Yan. So yun yung makikita nyo dyan. Then the next one is the simulation. So let me just go to that simulation here. Okay. Now on the simulation, okay, so just make sure that you have, I mean, a good connection. So kindly review the steps as mentioned on the procedure on the first part under this experiment. So, for example, for this one, for unsaturation, you just get bromine water. Now, usually guys, for unsaturation, remember the reaction na substitution or addition reaction. Pag saturated po, magkukulay na siya. So, here is a bromine water, gives you a brown color. So, yan. So, nag-brown ka agad siya. Okay? So, what you're going to do is you're going to pick this up, click nyo konti. Isang click lang para mag-shake. So, after shaking, it's not gonna change anymore because it's already saturated. Okay? Pag nag-saturate siya, ibig sabihin filled na yung color niya. Here, you have unsaturated. Nag-brown siya, yes, it will show color brown, but after shaking, magdi-dissipate siya. Kasi po, meron pa pong parts doon na hindi pa saturated. Unsaturated pa. Pag unsaturated yan, nawawala yung kulay. Okay? Now, on your PowerPoint or in your results, sandali, asan na ba yung form ko? Yan. So, on your report sheet, ito po yung itsura nung gagawin ninyo. So, this is what's gonna look like. So, after each functional group, itusulat nyo po yung inyong observation. So, for bromine test, saturated compounds turned red at immediately. Even after shaking, red color remains. Yan. So that's your observation for saturated. For unsaturated, red color, solution turned red upon addition of bromine water. But after shaking, red color disappeared. So ang inference nyo ngayon doon, isusulat niyo sa inference is that unsaturated compound does not I mean, it does not fill up the colors right away. Okay? Pwede niyo sabihin that it is a sign of unsaturation. So, bromine test can identify if there is unsaturation inside a compound. So, ganun lang po isusulat niyo dyan. Okay? So, yan. So, kindly follow that procedure or follow that information. Now, ganun din po yung gagawin nyo pag sinabit nyo sa akin. After you download it, fill it up. Okay? And then, if, forward nyo sa akin yung updated form ninyo. Okay? So, that would be on the third part. Okay. Medyo mahaba-haba lang siya konti. Okay? Nako, medyo matagal-tagal na naman si PTBL Hub. Yan. So, yan. So, you have here your assignment, the last part. Yan. Okay? So, this is good until next Friday po. Now, dapat magpapagame ako guys, kaya lang since ang oras natin is so alanganin, social no, is napakaalanganin, ang hirap ng connection, okay? You know the game Kahoots, guys? Alam niyo yung game na Kahoots?
Yes po.
Okay. So actually, yun ang gagawin nyo dapat for the remaining of the time, okay? Yun nga lang, since ang network natin is medyo unstable, ang gagibigay ko na lang sa inyo yung activity for your own pacing. Okay? So, kanya-kanya na lang kayong oras pag-update or kanya-kanya na lang kayo ng sagot. So, I'm going to post the link in our TBL Hub. Dalawa pong activity yun eh. All about organic compounds. Okay? Attention yan. Wait lang. So, it's gonna be self-paced. Tapos, this is good until next week. Okay? Now, ang gagamitin niyo po pag login po is hindi po yung favorite na pet name ninyo ha. Hindi Cutie Boy 100. Baka may magsulat sa inyo ng Cutie Boy 100. Hindi ko alam kung kanino ko bibigay yung score na Cutie Boy 100. Ang isusulat niyo po yung last name ninyo. Okay? Kunyari, Santiago. Kung meron naman kayong kapangalan dyan, siguro alam niyo naman kung may kapangalan kayo, di Santiago L. Yan. Okay? Para malaman ko. So I'm going to post it on your TBL Hub here. And then you can start working on it as soon as your network allows you. Now, isang trial lang po yan. Hindi po siya katulad ng mga TBL Hub activity natin na maraming trial. Okay? So, dalawa pong activity yan. Yan po ay equivalent sa dalawang quiz. Okay? Any questions so far, guys?